Welcome back. We are starting on week 15 this week. You just have one assignment that you're going to be doing for this week, and it is going to be the individual presentation portion of the class. You had to do a group presentation, and now you're going to have to do an individual presentation. So, we are going to dive into that. So when you look at the week 15 folder, you're going to see the individual presentation instructions, and it is going to be on a Word document. If you don't have Microsoft Word on your computer, it's okay, because you should just be able to hit this little icon here and it'll just open it up within Canvas. So you are going to be recording it. You can use your phone camera, you can use the camera on your computer, you can even basically use Zoom and record. Even though you're not technically calling anyone else, you can still use Zoom if that worked well for you. Or if you have a YouTube account, you can go ahead and open up YouTube and basically record a video on YouTube and then just upload the link for your YouTube video. And I do put this little disclaimer here that if you do choose to do the recording, let's say on your phone camera using the video recording function on there, if the file size is too big, sometimes Canvas will not let you upload certain attachments if they're too large. So just be prepared that if it will not let you upload your attachment, you may have to still get onto YouTube and basically upload your video there and then put the link in the assignment folder whenever you're submitting it, because sometimes that is a problem. YouTube, if you don't have it, it is a free service. You can just make an account really quick and then you'd be able to do videos that way, or just upload your video that you record on your phone. So just be prepared for that. Or if you upload a video link that for whatever reason I cannot open on my computer, I may have to email you and let you know that I could not open it, and you might still have to transfer it to YouTube anyway. So I just want you to be prepared for that. So let's just go ahead and open up the individual presentation document. I hit the wrong button. Here we go. There we go. So if you don't have Microsoft Word on your computer, when you click on that little icon there, it'll just pop up the presentation explanation here within Canvas for you. So it is worth 25 points. What we're going to be doing essentially is a mock interview. And I'm basically giving you a scenario that you are using. It's basically fictional, but it's something for you to kind of do practice with. I've actually had to do a video interview before where I had to record a video interview and I had to submit it to an employer. So I have had to do this before, and it is kind of good practice. In a way, you're still trying to put forth the same kind of effort and the same kind of professionalism that you would if you had to stand face to face in front of an employer and do an interview. And sometimes it's the first impression that someone might get of you. But what we're doing this for is just basically to kind of get some practice with not only presentations, whether you would have to do another one with a group or anything like that, where you're practicing professionalism and you're trying to be thorough, detailed, and you're trying to make sure that you're meeting the time mark that you're given. So if you see here the goal, or what we're going to be doing, what your scenario is you're going to imagine that me, your professor, that I am a prospective employer that has a job opening that is something that you are wanting to apply to. And you, basically what I am doing is I'm asking each applicant to make a video of themselves as a first step in the interview process. So I'm asking each applicant to discuss certain topics to help me determine which applicants I plan to ask back for an in-person second interview. So I'm telling you here to please review the instructions, the topics of discussion, and then what the expectations are for the video that you're recording. So you're basically pretending that I am a prospective employer and you are trying to basically apply for a job that I have an opening for, and I'm asking for an interview where you're going to be basically recording yourself and you're going to be answering certain questions. So that way I would determine whether I'd want to call you back for a second interview. So instructions are here. You're basically going to choose the career opportunity that you're interviewing for. You can choose the actual career field that you do plan to enter after you leave Rose State College. Or if you still haven't chosen a major or a specific career path, you can choose a career that you have an interest in. And I put a little thing here that think back on the career research activity that you did. It was back at the beginning of the semester around week 3. Even those of you that do not have a major chosen yet, you still probably chose a couple of career paths that you had interest in, and you can use that if you want, or you can use a different one if you want. So try to think of whether you want to actually pretend that you're interviewing for a position that you're actually planning to go into whenever you leave Rose State, or just one that you have an interest in. And you're basically going to be indicating to me in the video what the job is. So you're coming up with it. It's going to be you interviewing for your either ideal career opportunity that you plan to go into, or one that you might have interest in going into. So what I put here is to begin your video by introducing yourself. So you need to introduce yourself by full name. You're basically talking to me in the video like I am the employer, and you are introducing yourself full name, and you are going to specify what career or position that it is that you are applying for. So if you're one of the students that is going to be going into nursing, well, what specific nursing career do you want to go into? Because there's all sorts of different kinds of nursing careers. So you're going to be specific with that, or if it's something else that you're planning on going into. So full name, and then specifying what position you are interviewing for. You're coming up with that. And I give an example of how you could introduce yourself. I put, for example, good morning, my name is Claudine Kroom, and I'm interested in applying for a career opportunity with your organization for the open position of adjunct professor in humanities. And that's just an example, but that's just a good way to open it up and say your introduction with your name and what it is that you are applying for. And then what you're going to further discuss, you have 4 different things that I'm asking you to discuss in your video as if I were interviewing you and I'm watching your video to determine whether I would like to call you back as a potential candidate for a position with my company. So the first would be, why are you interested in this career opportunity position? So whichever career opportunity or position that you're choosing for your interview in this video, you need to specify why you are interested in this career opportunity or position. And the second is, what skills do you have that you believe will make you an excellent candidate for this position? So you need to think about what kind of skills you currently have that would basically tell me as an employer why you would be a good choice for my organization. And then number 3, what life experiences have you had that you think will make you successful and happy with this career position and this career opportunity? So think about life experiences that you've had, because sometimes some of the experiences that we've had, life skills that we have, are also pertinent to a job that we plan to go into, even if we don't necessarily have the practical skills. Sometimes we do have a lot of life skills and experiences that is something that would be valuable to an employer to know. And then number 4 is, tell me a little bit about yourself on a personal note, especially if you have personal traits that you think will complement your interests in this career field or position. So these are the things that you need to be talking about after you introduce yourself and say what career it is or what position it is that you're applying for, that you're coming up with. And then I put a point breakdown here so you know what the point schemes is and how you might potentially have points deducted. So 5 points, your video interview needs to be at least 1 full minute long. So that's not really a long time, but if you're talking really fast or rushing through it, or you don't have enough information to talk about, you might not make it to the 1 minute mark. It's not a very long interview. You're basically just doing a quick, talking about some things. So that way a potential employer would determine whether they want to ask you back for a second interview. And then 10 points is for professionalism. You need to treat this like it's a real interview. Your appearance, your ability to make this mock interview sound serious, taking it seriously is going to determine your points in this section. So make sure that there's no distractions in the background, that I can't hear other people talking, or just whatever's in the background. You might want to pick something neutral where maybe your camera is just pointing at a wall behind you or something, so there's not a lot of distractions going on. Just like if you were actually going to be filming this interview to where you were actually trying to give it to an employer, you're going to want to submit the most professional thing that you can. So just think about it in that sense. So depending on how you do as you're speaking, your appearance, whether there's any kind of distractions, things like that, you may potentially lose some points here, depending on how you go about carrying out your interview on camera. And then the other 10 points is making sure that you touch on all 4 of these discussion points that I'm asking you to talk about. So you need to make sure you are talking about each one of these things. So that way, So that way, basically, you don't lose any points here. So you could potentially, like, if you forget to talk about one of those topics, you might lose a few points. So that's just to kind of let you know that there's 10 points available here if you are able to talk about all of these and kind of go into detail and be thorough. So it's not too hard. And then I would just suggest at the very end, maybe say something like, whatever little bit you would want to say at the end if you were trying to just tell an employer, thank you for your time and consideration, or something like that that you can come up with yourself, but then just have an ending point to your interview where you would then be comfortable submitting that to an actual employer. Have fun with it. Try not to stress too much. It's just kind of a good practice where you're kind of doing almost like you were doing a face-to-face interview, but instead you're just pretending that an employer is giving you information and they want you to make a video that they can watch and determine whether they want to call you back for a second interview. So if you have any questions during the week, just let me know, but it's not a terribly hard project. It's just something for a little bit of practice in an interview process. And it is maybe pertinent to the times right now just because of COVID and everything like that. You never know. If you were to apply for a career opportunity right now, there may not be as many opportunities where people are wanting to do face-to-face interviews. Maybe some people are going to want to do Zoom call interviews or anything like that. So it's just a good practice point for the interview process, because that is going into that next step of when you leave Rose State College. And if you do plan to go into a career field, this is something you'd have to plan for, because if you are going to apply for a new job, the interview process is something that you have to look forward to. And some people get very nervous about interviews, and some people, that's kind of a make or break, because there might be a lot of people applying for the same job that you are, and you want to put the best foot forward. And any practice that you can have in any kind of interview situation is good practice. And I do recommend too that if you do the recording, watch it, go through it, make sure you hit the 1 minute mark. But also, if you feel like there's something off, like the presentation isn't good or the recording itself isn't good or anything like that, you have the opportunity to re-record it as many times as you want till you feel like it looks, sounds like how you want. So take some practice recordings if you need to, just so you're turning in your best work for this presentation. All right. Well, if you have questions this week, let me know, but that's about it. And then other than that, you just have the health and wellness bonus points if you want to take advantage of that you can turn in for this week as well. And then just kind of prepare yourself for the final paper, which is next week during finals week. And if you go back to the week 14 folder, you can look through the requirements for the final paper if you kind of still want to prep for it or get yourself in that mindset as well, because I did post that in the week 14 folder to kind of help you with the pre-writing assignment, so you knew what we were going to be writing about for the final paper in week 16. Okay, well, have a great week. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving and had a nice week off, and we are almost done. We've got 2 weeks left and then we are done. So, all right, I will see you guys next week.